Oh yeah, I think things were slightly too quiet last time, so maybe I'll try to increase the volume a little bit. Let me know if things are too loud or if they clip, but I was listening to the replay of the video last time and it definitely seemed a little bit too quiet. Or my voiceover did anyways. Alright, maybe that's better. Let me give it another minute or two and then I will get started. Alright, well, I am going to get started. Welcome to the stream, everybody. No real news or anything and no real plans, so I'm just going to start fucking around. Alright, so my vague idea is that I'm going to try to make some content solely with the modulation system. Alright, so we're going to start with Cat Party. So with Cat Party in the texturing system, there are two general ways to make content that is solely based on the modulation system. There's the XYZW texture, and then there is the Mod Effect 3 texture. Whoa, what the fuck is this? Oh, hey, I think that's that audio reactivity stuff from last stream. So let me actually turn that off. So IO, shift, audio. It's this thing right here. The low frequency energy was turning this effect on and off. So we will disable that and that will stop the spazzing. All right, so into the cat module. So there are these two textures that are, actually there's three of them. So there's mod text right here, which it basically just gives you, actually before I do this, I'm gonna turn all the effects off. So we're turning off the rainbow effect. And this effect that was turned on by that mapping. So in here, there's mod texture, which basically lets you access one of the modulation channels as a black and white texture. You can use the buttons to cycle through them, but they're all identical. So you're gonna have the same picture at the moment. There's also XYZW texture, which basically uses uses all four modulation channels as the RGB and alpha components of a texture. So if we go into the modulation system, we'll do that real quick just to actually demonstrate this. All right, so circle, square on one, lines on another, radial pattern on this one. All right, so we've got these four modulation textures right here. All right, and we'll stop the preview. We see that they're being used to generate the four, well, we're not really using the alpha channel, so these three patterns right here are generating the red, green, and blue components of this texture. So this is a way to use the modulation system to generate a procedural RGB texture. You can also change the color space. This is a HSV color space, so the horizontal bars control the value, which make it like oscillate horizontally with yeah, those kind of black bars right there. There's also a weird color space. It's a spherical color space, which I'm not even going to start trying to explain, but it's cool. I really need to know. It can do some cool things. But what I want to use is this new thing, this Mod Effect 3. So this basically generates a generative pattern by the four channels of the modulation system, it takes the first one as a base, then it applies effect 1 to that pattern, but it uses modulation channel 1 as a map of how to apply that. So is there a no effect here? Yeah, no effect. All right, let's turn all the effects off. I think I can actually just do this. No effect. All right, all the effects off. So we start with just modulation channel 1, which is those circles. And let's do invert. So this is going to invert based on the pattern in modulation channel 1. So it's going to add some squariness to it. Similarly, you can do these other effects. I hope this is somewhat self-explanatory, but this is just an interesting way to procedurally make textures. The reason I put a palette at the very beginning is because that's a way to turn a solely black and white image into something that has color. So that's the first place that kind of introduces color. And then we have these two effects right here, which are an off, which I'll turn back to, I don't know, for this one to invert. And I'll turn this one to HSV Madness. That effect is wild. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave things like this. We're going to leave all the effects and whatnot in the party module off for now, but we're going to go into the modulation system and see what we can do solely in here. Actually, you know what? What we're going to do is first just solely view the channel, modulation channel 1. So modulation channel 1 is going to be what we're really messing around with at the moment. All right, right now it's just a circle. We're going to dive in here, or we are not. Expand. There we go. So yeah, first thing to know is that modulation channels are a combination. Well, first of all, they're a one-dimensional output, which hopefully you know are used to modulate the values of parameters spatially. And they're a mix between a generative waveguide system and a texture. So we'll just use texture 1 right now to demonstrate. First knob is mix. So right now we're mixing between this texture right here and these generative patterns. The generative pattern is based on a guide, which basically gives you the two-dimensional shape. So you have a square, blah, blah, blah. Some grids, stripes. And then that's put through a waveform to give it more variation. See how that introduces the sharp edge? That's at the edge of the waveform. Or it's at the edge of the spiral. See, that's cool. All right, so we're gonna have a spiral here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create feedback in the modulation system. So you have a whole range of textures right here that you can mix in, pretty much any texture that's elsewhere in the system. And what you can do is you can mix in modulation texture 2. All right, so that needs to actually be incremented and counting in the correct way. So modulation texture, the next one, it's squares. So modulation channel 1, modulation channel 2, all right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into modulation channel 2, create an interesting pattern. Let's do this guy. All right, so let's go to preview here so we can actually see what we're doing. All right, so we have a radial pattern. This controls the frequency of the radial spokes. This, what is that even doing? I don't even know. This should rotate everything. So I'm going to put that on an LFO just because I can. I'm going to put it on the scroll wave LFO. It's going a little bit too fast, so I'll slow it down. All right. So we have a radial pattern that I'm going to offset. I'm going to animate that too because it looks cool. I'm actually going to increase the speed of that. All right, so we have a modulation pattern here. I'm going to change the wave. All right, that just made it more solid. So what we're going to do here is we're going to also mix in modulation channel 1. So modulation channel 2 is mixing in modulation channel 1, and modulation channel 1 is mixing in modulation channel 2. I did this the other day, and it can be kind of finicky, but it can also be kind of awesome. All right, so that is doing nothing. Oh wait, wrong control. All right. All right, so we're mixing them together, except that we turned the mix all the way to one side in modulation channel 2. All right. There are also controls for offset and scale of the texture, so we're going to do that, and now we have feedback. It's not very obvious, but it's there. All right. Lower the frequency of that, and I'm going to put the phase on LFO to make it rotate. The spiral should be rotating now too. All right, let's go back to modulation channel 2. And play around with some of these controls. Let's also turn off, let's turn this to the side a little bit. And we'll play with the mix control. All right, so this is solely in the modulation system that we're getting these kind of effects here. The mix pretty high because I want maximum feedback. I'm just going to play around with some of these controls here to actually try to get it into interesting states. Actually, I think I'm going to change this from a square wave to something with like a gradient because that might help. Let's get it a little bit closer to... All right. Let's go back into modulation channel 1. Let's try modulating the frequency by modulation channel 1. So we're going to modulate the frequency by itself, and now we've just basically enabled madness. All right, let's see what else we can do here. All right, I'm going to turn that modulation off. That's not really doing anything super interesting. Okay, let's go into modulation channel 3. Let's preview it. So we'll look at it in isolation. Oh, come on. What is going on here? There we go. So that's the channel. So now let's try doing some weird stuff. All right, that looks great already. All right. And with this channel, we're going to mix in some of the FFT texture to get a little bit of easy audio reactivity. All right, so now we have 3 channels. So now let's go and go back to this right here and try to actually make something cool with it. Let's try this one. All right. It already looks not terrible. Let's try changing the color space. That looks pretty great as well. A little bit too red. So all this structure is created with the modulation system. Let's try to modulate some of these parameters. That looks awesome. Not really sure why, but it's pretty great. All right, I want to add a little bit more audio activity, which I'll do through modulation pattern 4. By adding the band wave into here. And then this thing looks like, come on. All right, let's put that thing off to the side. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna raise the floor, which is what this thing does. So instead of bottoming out all the way at black, it's gonna bottom out at like gray. Actually, let's do the opposite. Let's lower the ceiling. I want this to be a little less obvious than I guess it could be. And we're gonna lower the frequency. All right, and now we're gonna use that for something. And again, we haven't even touched the whole party module. I'm going to try using that for this rotational command. That was channel 4. Turn that down. Maybe it'll look all right if I do that. Let's try. Wow. All right. I'll take that. It's not audio reactive, but it's still great. Try you. Holy shit. I gotta fix this control. This control is just not correct. Y offset. All right, how about I go into the party module and turn that effect back on, or the, so we're gonna use effect 1. We're gonna set it to palette. All right, and then there was this IO mapping, which is right here, which is turning effect 1 amount on, or is it effect 2 amount? Effect 1 amount. Effect 2, we'll change it to effect 1. So this should add or change the color every time the low frequency energy gets high enough. So let us enable it. Let's see what happens. All right, I can use some low frequency energy. That looks like, oh wait, gotta save it. Save. Yeah. All right, let's change the palette. Maybe that'll help. This is a bit too dramatic of a change, so let me try a different effect. Let's just try. All right, well, this is cool. So I'm just gonna save that. And then share it. Oh, what did I do? Froze it again. God damn it. What could I have even done? I think I was holding down a button when I looked away. Well, I'm gonna have to hard reset the synth, and I think it's lost forever. Well, it's on the stream, so goodbye, cool patch. Have you guys ever seen that happen on your synths? This pretty much only happens to me when I do these live streams. It might actually be this synth in particular. The screen could be freaking out or something. Yeah, so pretty much the only spirals in the system, like kind of natively, are in the modulation system. Let me see if that saved. It did save. What the fuck was that?
Got the guns to protect myself. Got the banks to protect my wealth.
All right, well, whatever. Sorry, I'll get back to spirals in a second.
Got the jails gonna lock you away.
You can basically make spirals kind of natively or via recursion.
It's everything I love, everything I know. It's a hungry other looking for a road to hoe. Give it time, give it space.
Native spirals. Come on.
Gonna watch it grow. Gonna watch it grow.
Yeah, so check it. Native spirals basically are in the modulation system exclusively. So we'll go to preview here. Let's mess with modulation channel 4 because it's doing the least. There are these waveguides, which basically create a one-dimensional pattern in two-dimensional space, and one of them is spiral. So I want to look at this channel in isolation. So it's a spiral right there. Let's change the wave to something normal. And then, no, we don't want the positive wavelengths. So there's a spiral. The frequency is not a nice multiple, so it kind of gave it that broken effect. You can go into the module. You got, I think, 2 parameters. You have the radius, is that thing, and then you have the number of spiral bits that come out of it. Then you can go and animate the phase parameter to make it rotate. You know, now that I think about it, I think there's like a glitch. I don't see why so much of this should be black. Seems like only the bottom of this cosine wave should be black. Let me actually mess around with this for a second. Yeah, this is there's a glitch in the spiral algorithm. I think there's a glitch in this thing too. How many of these are... I have to think about this. There might be some major glitches in like all of this shit. Anyways, I'll figure it out eventually. And by that I mean this afternoon. Alright, so this is our crazy patch. Let's make something with simpler geometric shapes in a similar type of fashion. Alright, so let's reset the patch. Alright, we'll turn off this weird ass effect again. We'll go into here and we'll use the mod effect 3. Alright. And then we're going to create some basic patterns in here. So this one is going to use linear mirror. All right, let's give that a try. And I do like the step wave. Is there anything in here besides the number of steps? Increase the number of steps to like a bunch. Yeah, so I gotta figure something out real quick. I think it might just be the visualizations of those, or the previews of those waves. Like this should continue, or like smoothly go from like black to white. It shouldn't have a giant black bar. Similarly, like this shouldn't have like giant black regions. I think it's just being visualized incorrectly. We'll have to see. Anyways, I'll go back to the step wave. And then yeah, we're gonna increase the number of steps. What can we blend in that's geometric? I'm gonna have to resist the urge to create feedback. Let's try modulating it with something. That is not what we want to do. Holy crap. That is not what I want either. I want to preview this. I think the phase can also do that. Yeah. So let's animate the phase just to make it kind of scroll. Let's increase the speed. Oh, that's the opposite of increasing the speed. All right. I'm going to save this. Sure, pattern 16. I'm going to load it in all 4 slots. Just as a starting point. All right. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change the frequency. It'll be lower frequency, and it's also going to be rotated. All right. For channel 3, I'm going to change the wave to square wave. Now we have solid bars. You are going to rotate in a circle continuously because that's what I want. That's too fast. All right, we got that. All right. Number 4 is going to be rotated exactly 90 degrees. I think it's 2.5 here. There we go. And the frequency is going to be increased. And I'm going to do that because I can. And I'll put the origin on a rose curve. No, not the origin. Actually, whatever. We're going to leave it like this. All right, now what we're going to start doing is, so we have all 4 of these patterns. All right. Now we're going to use these patterns to affect each other. Actually, before we do that, let's just see where we are with like the global pattern. I mean, that already looks kind of cool. The rotation's too fast. All right, let's go back in there. Whoops. I think it's this guy. It's rotating. Is it this guy? No. It is you. All right, so go into channel 1 and hook some of these random parameters up to other bits of the modulation system. Nope. Okay, that already looks cool. We're basically composing these patterns. That looks great. Channel 1. All right, for channel 2, we're gonna go into the frequency and hook that up to that. Doesn't look terrible. That looks kind of wild. Hook it up to itself, create some weird ass feedback. Okay. For channel 3, we're gonna go and hook. Actually, we're gonna blend you with final output of the system. And the amount we blend is going to be controlled by one of the other modulation patterns. So this is creating feedback. I don't care, I'm doing it anyways. All right. For channel 4, we're going to mix in some audio reactivity with the FFT text. Can I rotate that? I don't think I can. All right, so what do we have? All right, I like it. Let's see what we can do. All right, so we're using Mod Effect 3. Change the palette. I want those bars to kind of fade in and out. That's what I'm gonna do next. So what I'm gonna do, those bars are from channel 3. So I'm gonna put W max and W min on LFOs. You're gonna go to 0. You're gonna be kind of slow. Is that even doing what I want it to do? I'm not sure. Yeah. It is, so it just faded out. All right, cool. I'm gonna go into modulation channel 1 and decrease the frequency of this step wave because that's creating too much of a digital kind of pixelated effect. All right, and back in channel 3, I'm also going to decrease the frequency, kind of basically effectively zoom those bars in and out. All right, back into here, we're messing around with the palette. I like this one. All right, so let's go into the effects now and try to do something. I don't like any of these deforms, to be honest. It looks all right. Okay, fuck it, we're just playing around with the hyper effects then. All right, dither. Dither always looks kind of awesome. Tunnel is way too much. Edges is almost cheating, it just continually, or always looks cool. Actually, this looks pretty great. There's just so many edges in the system because it was all kind of sort of boxy. This is just great. What can we do in here to mess around with it? Huh. Edge off. What does that even do? I don't even remember. Oh, I see. This is awesome. All right, this one's going out right now as it is. Yeah, hopefully I don't fuck the synth over again. Cat Party 16. Straighten this thing out. All right, I'm gonna turn off my overlay and microphone and record a video for like, I don't know, 3 minutes and 56 seconds it seems.
All your secret distractions doing my head. I'd rather be a ghost instead. All your secret distractions doing my head. I'd rather be a ghost instead. Constant need for reaction to something you said. I'd rather be a ghost instead. I don't want this. I don't need it. I don't want this ordinary
All right, that was cool enough. Needed a little more variation. I need to maybe configure the perform mode when I record these videos just so I can actually not have it be basically the same patch over and over again. All right, what the fuck are we doing now? Let's make something with the interference instrument. I don't ever use that thing. All right, so we're going into here. So interference instrument creates this wave pattern, creates multiple copies of that, moves them throughout space, and adds them together more or less. Right now, we are taking 2 copies of this waveform. So the waveform is identical to, oh, it's not actually. Did I get rid of that? Well, I did. All right, so what we're gonna do, I didn't add it. We're not gonna do that. So here, check us out. Oh yeah, you know what? I'll play with Hyperflex next week. I haven't done that in a while either. All right, so we're gonna go to spirals this time. All right, so we've got spirals. Gonna decrease the frequency. Actually, let's zoom in on the spiral. All right, and then we'll move the spiral off to the side, and then it should be kind of obvious what it's doing. We have one copy. Actually, this remotely out. So it's taking multiple copies of the spiral and basically adding them together and then colorizing the final result. It's pretty great regardless. See if I can turn off the lighting. Can you do that in here? There's a height control, wave height, yeah. That's with maximum lighting, with no lighting. So now we just got some blobs. All right, so we want it to be audio reactive. I think we're gonna get that through this phase control. All right, we're modulating the phase by modulation channel 1, and then we're gonna put some audio reactivity into modulation channel 1. It's a little bit too radial and also too much of it. All right, so let's like turn that way down. Frequency is way too high. And the maximum, put it like right there. This looks terrible. All right, instead of spirals, let's go with something more basic. Let's go with lines. So actually, let's go with squares. All right. Doesn't really do it either. Square looks like that. That's not what I want. That is a much more well-behaved square. Wave height. It's not going to show up here, I don't think. This basically affects the lighting amount. So maybe it'll look interesting. Doesn't look bad. Well, maybe our modulation channel is too... It's not even doing anything as far as I can tell. No, I'm not doing that either. All right, let's add the audio reactivity as an after effect. I'm a little surprised this has like sharp boundaries. Is that because of the lighting? It might be. Yeah.
And it shakes my blood.
Let's increase the speed in general. Major animations caused by this guy right here. So
Another taste you can run. Never come back again.
make it even faster.
Never come back again.
All right, let's try a different wave.
Never come back again. You can run.
That looks cool. Let's increase the number of waves.
You can run.
All right, and we do that by
You can run.
using this guy. We'll do interfere 5. Except that refreshed this thing. Even faster. All right, this little guy right here controls how the waves move around with each other. So let's try this thing. That's pretty cool, except the speed definitely needs to be turned off for that. Or turned way slower. And that is pretty awesome. Alright, I'm going to play with the color palette to see if I can make the colors a little more stark. Or the color differences. I'm also going to like move it off to the side with this guy right here. Wait, wrong one. And zoom in. Okay. There's a palette control in here, so we're gonna play around with that. That's what I want. I want like dark regions. Not quite like that. Is there an effect slot in here? I don't think there is. There needs to be. What I want to do is like quantize the results or something. So let's make it more continuous. And then try quantizing. Let's turn up the number of levels of the quantization to like decently high and turn the effect on. Huh. Doesn't look great. It does kind of look like it's responding to music though. Let's change the palette. Alright, let's change the square to something else. It'll be completely different now. Kind of wild. Let's just play around in here for a little bit. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. It's not turning out great. I think this quantization effect is not really doing it. Let's try this guy, which is always awesome. Alright. Someone saved the day. Alright, so let's go back into here and start fucking around with some more of this stuff. Okay, this is awesome now. Doesn't entirely look like the lighting peaks are matching up with the actual wave interference stuff, but who knows? All right, I'm going to take this thing and put it on a Rose LFO. I don't know why, but kind of crazy. It's too fast. All right, I'm zoomed out too much, which I think is this guy. All right, it needs some audio reactivity, then it's actually kind of awesome. It doesn't need to be subtle because it needs to like not break the actual pattern. So I think it's gonna have to happen in like the post effect layer or something. Is it? Yeah, I think so. All right, so let's actually load like a handful of audio reactive patterns in here just to get something to play with. All right, let's add some modulation to, actually, you know what? Let's play around with this palette. So it's palette 6. No, it actually looks pretty great on this thing. All right. Depth scale, is that even doing anything? Just a little bit. Let's hook it up to that. Sure. All right, that's not bad. What about? It's a bit much, but it's still cool. All right, let's get nuts. Actually, wait, try fade. No, that's too high frequency. No. All right, negative 54, you say? Great. See, this instrument doesn't suck. It's just way too hard to use. I'm gonna put this on LFO. I'll make a zoom in and out. It's gonna go to like 0.5 to 1.5. Now it needs to go down to like 2. Oh, no, it needs to go negative. That's how this parameter works. Yeah, a little bit lower than 0.2. This is actually kind of awesome. All right, I'm gonna save and share this guy. All right, I'm gonna get some footage now. I'll be back. All right, I don't think I got any footage of the first patch I made either, so we're gonna do that. Alright, I'm back. I think that's probably it for the stream. Yeah, what's up? Having to save them due to firmware upgrades and transferring patches from one unit to a second has been a big pain point, you say. So, first of all, firmware upgrades shouldn't delete patch or thumbnails. If you're seeing that, that's definitely not correct. Right now, transferring patches is pretty unsupported. So like, bulk regenerating the thumbnails is definitely annoying. So the short answer is, yeah, it could happen, but I got so much else to do that it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon, unfortunately. Let me think. It probably would be pretty easy to patch in the thumbnails with the zip file that basically contains all of the database. Let me think about that. I gotta think about it. The short answer is it's unfortunately probably not gonna happen anytime soon, but it should definitely happen eventually. Or like transferring patches from one into the other should happen how you want it to. So. Cool. Well, I think that's going to be it for the stream. Anybody have any questions? I think next week, yeah, I'll play with Hyperflux again. It's been a while since I've done that, so definitely kind of overdue for some playing around with that instrument. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks everybody for coming by. I will see you next week.